Congressional committee hearing that.
A screwed up time in Washington. But being shut down, bro. Expedition.
Presentation. Day. I could have
included an agreement. All America.
I left you a message, something available in the company.
Oh, God. For the 5th time, I must.
Don't get comfortable. You got 5-minute hunting this time.
Pacific. It has defied any civilization. The land where the number of ships and planes. It's more than that. There are tests. There was some out there, the likes of is this island.
Miranda.
1946.
You know,
life. Yeah, but
Got you down years ago.
that is sending a mission to the permission, of course. It's a geological discovery. Listen, to be honest, what we do know, they're gonna have the same images.
That almost made sense. Get the piggyback for you. I will. You promise me?
Senator?
Yeah. How many letters did she write you?
I don't know.
Really?
I'm gonna tell her when I see her in the next 40.
Chaplain? All good. So what are you gonna...
Eastern Airlines? Waiting on me.
All this for what?
Get out of here.
Packard, General
Opposed to that, sir.
Yeah?
I'm here to execute whatever...
It's called Landsat Discovery Award for a survey job.
Thank you.
Miranda, out of my SAS.
Former Don pilots in Da Nang and
Some back alley watering hole.
my father told me never to judge me here.
Well, how much should we tell them?
Just
Started island. Mud, disease-carrying area, but what about the other back alive? I want 5 times that.
If? I mean,
You came here looking for a tracker. Am I tracking?
this is all the only satellite images. Teeth in uncharted jungle terrain.
and scientists, we need some. If you
That Landsat thing? It's the...
1800.
I don't get it. Why do you want to...
3 sources tell you the same. There's something going on here.
I can't believe we're doing this. Why you guys can't? Enough. Vietnam's not exactly where I need to be right now. It's a key.
Where you been? I respect that.
You're not actually.
Camera's way more dangerous than a gun.
Right.
And welcome, colleague Steve Woodward, to a place every nautical as our satellite show, allowing it to remain helicopter transport. We're also pleased to be joined, led by Mr. Randagist, Mr. Brooks, Eyes Beneath.
To shake the earth and create by over the South Shore and then strategic.
You're dropping bombs.
Boys, we're signed.
Scientists.
We'll then Major Jack Chat.
Block all radio contact with the The refuel team will meet for an unknown period of time. Miss it, please.
I could ask you, this mission need explosives.
Survey.
Packard yet?
Aerated war hero. That's the package. Isn't shooting a mapping
Shape opinions.
and when
What about you? How did?
commissioned? You don't strike me as a war.
What you at? Head straight to your face.
It's too short.
Looks a lot nastier in person.
Oh, where is this island?
50. You do it from here.
Right here.
yeah, it's a rare little.
Advisor of the controlling agency.
I'm sure the Landsat inspector.
This is only a map, sir.
Hold on account of rain. Stay. I'm told. Why don't we leave it to Colonel?
No way I'm getting on that helicopter.
Shouldn't they know why?
Watching Brooks.
So long.
The old man getting us in too cold. This bed, I missed my bed. Bed cold.
See you at the rendezvous.
Bod walk down.
Generator start.
Again, for the Griffin, hold.
Pilot. You are
Fox 5,
Fox 5 is in.
warm up on me. Keep nothing we haven't done before.
You ever looked into a hurricane? Because that's what's about that.
Dear Billy, much.
Special navigation. Mother gave him wings. But the entire fell into the sea. An irresponsible phone rolled, paid not to. Let's take him down low and. To the Fox group. Headset on deck.
Put us down over there. Ready for.
The seismic response.
The bedrock. Monkey.
Out of position. Fox leader, the Fox group.
What the hell is? Pull out now! Pull out! 5-6. We got nominal.
Leader, Fox 9. Over. Fox. Shit. Bitch.
Watch out! Christ!
Fox leader is down. Hold tight, Colonel Packard. We're.
We're down! Right now, do you love your...
Is anybody airborne?
If we stick to its bank,
All our choppers are down.
we just have to make it by the
So wait, are we just not
our radius. We should head north.
Answer that question right now. I hope you're worth
normal, right? Stuff like that.
Leader, the Fox group.
Fox,
West, highest peak.
Did that, Chapman.
firm with the Sea Stallion.
With enough munitions, gate possible ambush site. You're good to go. Cole, I'm by a monkey the size of a.
That was an unconventional.
Right now. Thank God you got.
Good to see survivors.
Glad to hear it. I was worried about. Don't know.
Monsters exist, believe me.
So this are just to flush something out.
Ship, I was the only, sir. I know what I saw. It has destroy. I learned that day. Ancient species keep our heads buried in the sand. We specialize in the hunt.
Was out here.
Get us home, the cavalry.
Because I wrote a paper. There are these massive
Dwace, run up.
lives below.
The extra location. Anybody?
We're out of range.
Put it down.
in vain. Will
It's the lion and the thorn. In case we ever see that prime.
becoming friends with the lion after.
It's not.
Who told you that, Cole? Lion's alive.
What is it? Watch this! We got you! Cut it off at the left! I got you!
Stay tight.
Stay whoa!
No need for that. Come on. A moment. And 8 failed attempts to get. Ain't that a crack?
Did you
And then Hank Marlowe of the 45th. Then a hot on opening day.
I told you.
Her at night. Nah.
What?
Some of them don't even seem to age. Property. So good news.
I didn't.
You've been here as long as I have.
We can't stay
Now is not the time.
Years before I did. We went. This is all.
look at that?
This island lived and feared. Today, the damnedest thing is protecting them against the thing, but nothing lasts forever. The last of their saviors. His Combs a pretty good king. Start dropping bombs.
Killed your friend?
One of them did. But the day
called.
But I call him Skull. Sounds neat. Name up.
I like the name, so.
You call him whatever. There too, or you wouldn't have made it mean as hell.
How big is it?
It's best of his kind, but he's still gross. Then the big and Irene.
The island in 3 days.
You can't get to the north. Not on foot. That is one ugly ass.
This place.
Monsters exist.
Oh man, seems like.
Are we even gonna make it? We're gonna make it. The open sea, try to get home.
Oh, that's lovely.
Hello?
It's called the Great. Parts from my P-51 or something.
You gotta be.
Unless you got a better.
For house and music, brother, for my love.
Please. We hook up with to finish the job.
You know why I took it off a farmer? He was 50 years old. An enemy doesn't.
What happened?
8 hours to make it to the north.
If I can't fix this, he'll disown. Hold the phone here, Churchill. Huh?
It's more of a cold.
The Cubs? Where are you from? Detroit. Oh, no.
Doubt it, yeah.
Tiger or a cub?
Because a cub is a baby bear. You gotta think it through. No kid eating.
Come on.
Benny Goodman.
I really hope that thing you call. We're,
Wrote that paper on the Hollow Earth theory.
Not Brenda.
Felt good. I can't. Yes. I'm talking. I'll stab you by the end of the night.
The boat doesn't work.
The most dangerous.
The long exposure photograph.
Threw it to me from the train as he rolled me.
Back.
His once, but I suppose no man comes home from.
I'm dicking around. I'm going on.
Ollie, with the rest of us.
You know where the door is. And when you put this place on the
Kari. Forms, brother. Each other behind.
Yes!
Let's go, let's go!
Yes! Yes!
Man's got to do it.
Allow me.
I have a wife. Got hitched right before. She said, we just had our baby boy. Never met.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Oh, wait.
At your way. That'd be good.
Fox 5.
Yeah, we're on a...
Y'all get a boat.
No, we met this, like...
What kind of boat y'all got?
We're on a boat.
Roger that.
Yes!
Roger that, Fox 5. 1 hour.
Yes! Whoa! Whoa! Get down!
Everybody grab your gear with packet.
No, wait. He's gone.
Than us.
What's your count?
Good to see you, fellas. Lieutenant Hank Marlowe. 2? Yes, sir.
2, Lieutenant.
Boat, we'll make it to the North Shore and...
Still got a man out there, Con. He's with the down sea stallion. Just
Things live. We have a whole Southwest?
Guys, this is crazy.
finding lost men, right?
Okay, sir. We're back here by night.
Roger that. He left.
It's a good group of boys to die with, I'll tell you.
Don't forget to tell me.
Yeah, you smell it? Mr. Kong's parents.
The crash site's just on the...
Going to the north side right now.
I'm not...
We can make it.
Out.
I've been here 28 years. What do I...
Cole, we don't got time. Move.
In here!
1,000,006. Let's move.
Oh, shit.
50.
Now look, Colonel, been here a hell of a lot longer. Credit us was only the first of them. Back! Don't swing!
Here's the thing. With weapons and men.
Kong is God on this island.
We can't kill Kong down there. If you take
them too. After fire. War, we are not gonna.
Please! You need to listen! And you're gonna get us all killed.
Okay, cut. Now I'm gonna take. All right?
Steve?
I don't want to be on the.
We need to stop him.
He's great. We'll get off this rock alive.
To you and your mom. Much love. Family.
You're there.
There's water. Wait here.
I'll be right here. Ants.
Seismic charges.
Let's just get on with it.
Make him a special gift.
Now.
Come on, which way?
Wait for us to go.
You ain't got it.
We're going to save.
Oh dear.
Men, time to show Kong. I'm one.
Asked you fellas nice the first time.
Down and kill my men. We do the dirty work, even though a thing like. Bitch, please.
It's over.
Motherfucker.
They told us what going to do.
To the edge of the island. But then, like Brooks, we'll buy you time. Every second count.
Come on, man, we gotta.
Out of here.
Cole, no! Cole!
This way to keep.
Don't know when, but I'm sunny.
Prologue, 1944. Marlowe Ikari crash, first meeting with Kong. 1973 setup. Randa, Monarch, Packard soldiers. Conrad Weaver mission briefing. Arrival on Skull Island. Storm barrier, choppers. Kong's first attack. Group separation. Survival discoveries. Giant spider, Kong versus octopus. Marlowe's backstory, Skullcrawlers revealed. Forbidden Zone, battles, Chapman's fate, Packard's obsession growing. Climax, Kong versus Skull Devil, Packard's downfall. Weaver's bond with Kong, brutal final fight. Resolution aftermath, rescue, Kong's final roar. Marlowe's return, Monarch's reveal, Godzilla tease. Part 1, Prologue, 1944. The sky above the South Pacific was torn open by fire and smoke in the summer of 1944. Engines screamed like wounded animals, and 2 planes spiraled downward, their bodies broken by machine gun fire. The war in the Pacific Theater had left the skies littered with steel and burning fuel, and from the chaos came 2 men, both enemies, both desperate. Lieutenant Hank Marlowe, young, wide-eyed, the salt of Chicago still clinging to him despite 2 years at war, tore at the straps of his parachute. His chest heaved as the ripcord snapped open, fabric blossoming into a white flower against the inferno. Below, the endless sea stretched into a horizon that seemed to swallow the world. But fate wasn't done with him. Land appeared through the mist, jagged cliffs and dense green jungles, rising like a fortress. Marlowe hit the ground with a grunt, bruised but alive. His hands shook as he tore his pistol from its holster. Survival instinct overrode the noise of fear, and then he saw him. A figure parachuted down not far from him. Japanese, the enemy. Another survivor. Marlowe's blood froze, but training took hold. He raised his pistol, aimed at the man's chest, and fired. The bullet went wide, sparking against rock. The other soldier, lean and wiry, touched down with the grace of someone who had lived his life in discipline and training. His name was Gunpei Ikari, a loyal soldier of the Empire of Japan. Ikari pulled his sidearm in a flash and sprinted forward, eyes burning with hatred. The jungle swallowed them both as predator and prey blurred. Marlowe fled through the undergrowth, heart pounding like a drumbeat, branches clawing at his face. He reached a cliffside, nowhere left to run. Ikari caught up, sword flashing in the sunlight. The blade hissed through the air. Marlowe dodged, barely, the steel glinting inches from his throat. They crashed together, raw survival dictating every movement. A clash of 2 soldiers who in another life might have shared a beer, but here, on this nameless island, they were enemies to the death. Marlowe wrestled the sword away, gasping, but Ikari struck back with fists and fury. Soon Marlowe was pinned, Ikari's blade angled for the killing blow. The young lieutenant's eyes widened. This was the end. But then the world shook. A shadow fell across them, massive and alien. The ground quaked as something impossibly large shifted above. A hand, a gigantic fur-covered hand, slammed down onto the cliffside with the weight of a god. Both men froze, weapons trembling in their grip. The jungle itself seemed to bow in silence as Kong rose. The ape towered above them, sunlight outlining his massive form like the crown of a deity. His face was scarred, solemn, almost mournful. He did not roar. He did not lash out. He simply looked, and in his eyes was a warning, ancient and unspoken. You are in my world now. Marlowe and Ikari, once locked in mortal combat, stood frozen side by side. For the first time, the war between them seemed irrelevant. The island had revealed its true master. The story of Skull Island had begun. Part 2, 1973. Setting the stage. The year is 1973. The Vietnam War is collapsing, leaving America fractured and uncertain of its role in the world. Soldiers prepare to return home, carrying both scars and questions about what the war meant. Amid this chaos in the marble corridors of Washington, D.C., a different battle is quietly beginning. The call to adventure. In a government office, Bill Randa, John Goodman, an aging official with weary eyes and the weight of secrets on his shoulders, sits with his protege, Houston Brooks, Corey Hawkins. Randa is no ordinary bureaucrat. He is a man obsessed, haunted by knowledge most would dismiss as madness. For years he has pursued whispers, anomalies, and records buried deep in classified files. He believes in monsters. Now he has proof. A new satellite scan has revealed an island untouched by man, hidden within a perpetual storm system in the South Pacific, a place that has eluded cartographers for centuries. The locals call it Skull Island. But convincing the government to fund an expedition is no easy feat. In the polished office of Senator Willis, Richard Jenkins, Randa makes his case. Willis, pragmatic and skeptical, scoffs at the idea. Why send men to die for a chunk of rock surrounded by storms? Randa, desperate, changes tactics. Washington is falling behind, he warns. The Russians will find it first. Do you want them to discover what's out there before we do? That word before hangs heavy. The Cold War paranoia does the work for him. Willis grudgingly approves the mission, but Randa knows the island is no mere scientific curiosity. He leans in, voice low, a confession wrapped in warning. There are things on that island, things older than man, and they're waiting. Before leaving, Randa requests something vital, a military escort. Soldiers without a war. Across the ocean at a military camp, the Sky Devil Squadron gather for their last day of deployment. These men, weary, hardened, yet bound by brotherhood, are led by Colonel Preston Packard, Samuel L. Jackson. Packard is a soldier through and through, a man who has dedicated his entire existence to war. War's end, soldiers like Packard are left staring into silence. With him are his trusted men, Captain Earl Cole, Shea Wiggum, dry-witted and sardonic, Slivko, Thomas Mann, the youngest still boyish despite the battles behind him. Reyes, Eugene Cordero, light-hearted, always finding humor in the dark. Glenn Mills, Jason Mitchell, sharp-tongued and loyal. Jack Chapman, Toby Kebbell, Packard's right-hand man, steady and respected. As the men pack up, ready to go home, Packard receives a phone call. The mission is clear. Escort a scientific expedition into uncharted territory. His face, unreadable at first, hardens with purpose. The war may be ending, but here was a new fight. And Packard was not ready to be forgotten. The tracker. Meanwhile, in a smoky Saigon bar, a game of pool is interrupted by a tense confrontation. James Conrad, Tom Hiddleston, a former British Special Air Service captain, sits quietly, his eyes sharp and distant. Two bar patrons try to provoke him, testing his patience. They soon regret it. Conrad moves with precision, fast, efficient, trained. The men are subdued before they realize their mistake. Randa and Brooks step forward, impressed, and offer him a proposition. Join the expedition as their tracker. Conrad, always cautious, questions their motives. He knows the dangers of jungles, storms, and men who chase shadows. When Randa reveals the location, Skull Island, Conrad senses both opportunity and doom. His price goes up. He warns them plainly, you don't come back from places like this. But curiosity and perhaps a longing for meaning pulls him in. The photographer, in another corner of the world inside a dark room, Mason Weaver, Brie Larson, develops photographs. A war photojournalist, she has spent years capturing the brutal truth of human conflict. Her reputation is not built on staged propaganda, but on exposing lies. When the call comes inviting her to join the expedition, she hesitates. Why Skull Island? Why now? She meets the team at Base Camp Packard and his men, Randa, Brooks, and the scientists from Landsat, including geologist San Lin, Jing Titian, the nervous Victor Neves, John Ortiz, and technician Steve, Mark Evan Jackson. Weaver, sharp-eyed and skeptical, immediately senses something beneath the surface. To her, this mission smells of cover-ups and military agendas. She vows to document everything. The mission briefing. The group assembles for the official briefing. Brooks explains the plan. They will travel by sea aboard the ship Athena, approach Skull Island from the south, and deploy helicopters to penetrate the storm barrier. Once inside, seismic charges will be dropped to map the terrain. Weaver's voice cuts through the room. Seismic charges or bombs? Randa avoids her gaze. Packard answers with military bluntness. Same thing. The silence that follows is thick with unspoken suspicion. Weaver sees it. Conrad senses it. Even some of Packard's men exchange glances. But orders are orders, and the mission moves forward. The journey begins. The Athena sails across the ocean, carrying the odd mix of scientists, soldiers, and seekers of truth. Conrad watches the horizon, always scanning for threats unseen. Weaver takes photos of the men, the ship, the sea, capturing faces that may never be seen again. Randa and Brooks speak quietly on deck. Randa, clutching his briefcase, admits fragments of his obsession. Decades ago, he was the lone survivor of a ship that went down mysteriously in these waters. He remembers something vast rising from beneath the waves, something that left him broken and obsessed. For him, Skull Island is not discovery. It is confirmation. Packard, meanwhile, finds purpose again. War may have ended in Vietnam, but here he can command, protect, and fight. His men follow his lead without question. Yet behind his steel eyes lies fragility, the fear of irrelevance. Storm clouds gather ahead. The island waits. Part 3. Arrival on Skull Island. Fire from the sky. The sea churned as the Athena cut its path toward the storm wall. Everyone gathered on deck at some point to glimpse it, a towering barrier of black clouds that circled Skull Island like the jaws of a predator. Lightning danced within the roiling mass, jagged veins of white illuminating the churning gray. It looked less like weather and more like a living thing. For the Landsat scientists, it was a phenomenon, an atmospheric marvel never before mapped. For the soldiers, it was simply an obstacle. For Conrad, it was a test of fate. For Weaver, it was a curtain hiding truth. And for Randa, it was vindication. Proof that mystery still had power. Into the storm. Packard gathered his men on the flight deck as the helicopters were prepared. His voice was firm, authoritative, carrying the cadence of command that had steered them through countless battles. Yet, this was not Vietnam. No maps existed here, no playbook. Still, his words carried weight. Gentlemen, today we're not returning home. Today we're writing history. Weaver snapped a photograph, Packard framed by helicopters, storm clouds brewing in the background. She knew propaganda when she saw it, and part of her seethed. But part of her admitted there was grandeur in this moment. The team boarded the choppers. Rotor blades roared. The sea below boiled with spray as they lifted off. Ahead, the storm wall loomed larger and larger until it seemed impossible to pass through. And then they entered. The world became chaos. Wind howled. Lightning cracked just beyond the glass. Rain lashed at their faces, each droplet like a needle. The pilots fought with every ounce of strength to hold formation. Weaver held her camera steady despite the turbulence, snapping photo after photo, documenting the violent transition between the known and the unknown. And then silence. They burst through the storm into sunlight. The skies cleared to reveal a sight none could have imagined. Skull Island stretched out below, a green jewel rising from the ocean, mountains jagged like broken teeth, rivers winding like silver veins, jungles dense and alive. It was Eden twisted, beauty and menace in equal measure. A collective breath escaped the cabins. For one fleeting moment, even Packard's men felt awe. The bombs fall. That all was shattered when the first seismic charge dropped. Explosives tumbled from the helicopters and struck the earth with thunderous impact. The ground below trembled. Fire plumes rose among the trees. Birds scattered like black clouds. The jungle screamed as animals fled. Conrad frowned. Weaver lowered her camera, suspicion deepening. Seismic mapping, Randa repeated to anyone who looked at him. But Weaver's eyes narrowed. Those weren't just scientific charges, they were bombs. The earth groaned and something stirred. The first strike. It began with a shadow. One of the helicopters banked right, its pilot scanning the tree line when a tree itself came hurtling through the air. The trunk spun end over end before smashing into the chopper, splintering it mid-air. Fire blossomed, metal shrieked, the wreck plummeted into the jungle below. "Contact!" voices screamed over the radios. "We're under attack!" From the jungle, a figure rose. Massive, primal, unstoppable. Kong. He emerged from the canopy like a mountain learning to walk. His eyes burned with fury. His arms, thick as fallen oaks, reached skyward. Another tree was wrenched from the ground and hurled into a helicopter, tearing it apart. Rotor blades spun free like deadly shrapnel. The soldiers opened fire. Rockets, machine guns, tracer rounds, the sky lit up in a storm of man's fury. But their weapons were gnats biting at a god. Kong roared, the sound rolling across the valley like thunder given voice. Windows rattled, eardrums ached. Weaver froze, camera snapping furiously, each frame a testament to this impossible moment. One by one, the helicopters fell. Some exploded in fireballs, others spiraled out of control into the jungle canopy. Men screamed as they were ripped from the air. Packard barked orders, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Hold formation, engage the target." But no formation could hold against this. Kong leapt, arms swinging. One chopper was plucked from the sky and crushed in his grip. Another was smashed against the ground like a toy. Flames consumed the clearing, smoke blotting the sky. Then silence returned, but this time it was not awe. It was devastation. Scattered in the wreckage. When the survivors crawled from the wreckage, the world had changed. Packard staggered to his feet, eyes locked upward at the massive silhouette still standing above the burning wrecks. His men gathered near him, dazed but alive. Cole, Slivko, Mills. The colonel's jaw clenched. He had looked into the eyes of the beast that killed his men, and something inside him hardened into obsession. Elsewhere, Conrad, Weaver, Brooks, Lynn, and a handful of Landsat survivors stumbled into the jungle, separated from Packard's group. Weaver's hands still gripped her camera, though it trembled. Conrad's instincts told him the jungle was alive with more than just Kong. Randa, shaken, clutched his briefcase like a lifeline. The expedition was broken. The island had scattered them like dice. And above it all, Kong stood, chest heaving, eyes burning with the primal warning he had given long ago to Marlowe and Ikari. "You are in my world now." Part 4. Survival Discoveries. Monsters in the Green. The jungle of Skull Island swallowed men whole. Trees towered so high they shut out the sun. Vines as thick as ropes dangled like nooses. The air was alive with shrieks, growls, and the constant drone of insects. It was beautiful, yes, but beauty here was only camouflage for hunger. Packard's path, soldiers in hostile territory. Packard's group, hardened by years of war, moved in formation through the dense undergrowth. They were still reeling from the helicopter massacre. Some men whispered in awe, others in fear. But Packard, he marched with a steel gaze fixed on the horizon. His men expected a plan, reassurance. Instead, Packard's words came cold, steady. That thing killed my men. We find Chapman. We regroup. Then we finish it. Chapman, his most trusted officer, had been last seen crashing deeper into the jungle. If he lived, he carried their heaviest weapon stash. To Packard, Chapman wasn't just a man to rescue. He was the key to vengeance. The jungle tested them quickly. One soldier stopped near a stand of bamboo, pausing for breath. He leaned against a stalk only for the bamboo to shudder. Before anyone could react, the stalk split open, revealing not wood but a spider leg. The soldier gasped as the leg jammed down his throat, impaling him in an instant. Blood spattered. Panic erupted. From above descended a nightmare. A spider the size of a house, its body hidden among the canopy, legs stabbing downward like spears. Gunfire lit the jungle. Mills was yanked into the air by sticky strands, kicking wildly. The men fired, bullets tearing through legs thick as steel beams. Packard, unmoved by fear, stepped forward and aimed. His rifle barked. The spider's body split open, ichor raining down. It collapsed with a screech, the jungle shaking beneath its fall. Mills cut himself free and tumbled to the ground. The soldiers gathered, shaken but alive. Packard studied the corpse, jaw clenched tighter. To him, the spider was not terror. It was a message. The island was filled with monsters, and Kong was the king among them. Chapman, alone, witness to the god of the island. Meanwhile, Chapman had indeed survived his crash. Alone, cut off from the others, he set up near a river to wait for rescue. His radio crackled faintly, but only static answered. The jungle around him was eerily quiet. Then the water stirred. From the mist emerged Kong. Chapman froze, weapon half raised, but Kong didn't come for him. The great ape limped into the river, blood streaking his fur from bullet wounds taken during the helicopter battle. He knelt, cupping water in his massive hand, drinking deep. For a moment, Chapman's soldier instincts gave way to something else. Awe. Here was not a mindless beast, but a living god, tending his wounds, existing as any creature would. The river boiled suddenly. Tentacles whipped upward. A giant octopus erupted from the depths, lashing onto Kong's arms and chest. The water exploded with their struggle. Kong roared, muscles straining as suckers clamped down. He ripped one tentacle free, then another. The octopus thrashed, ink darkening the water, but Kong's fury was greater. He tore it apart, ripping legs free, smashing the carcass against rocks. When it was done, Kong stood in the bloody water, victorious. He tore into the flesh of the octopus, devouring it raw. Chapman could only stare, breathless. Kong was not just a guardian. He was a predator. Conrad's group, the man out of time. Elsewhere, Conrad, Weaver, Brooks, Lynn, Slivko, Neves, and Randa stumbled through the green maze. They were tired, wary, and increasingly aware they were prey in a land that had never known mercy. Then came the arrows. Wooden shafts thudded into the ground around them. Dozens of silent figures emerged from the trees, spears and bows raised. Their faces were painted, their eyes sharp. The group braced for death. Then a voice, rough with age but warm. Easy, easy. They don't mean you harm. From the crowd stepped a man in a tattered World War II pilot's jacket, beard wild, eyes bright with the spark of someone who had seen the impossible and learned to live with it. Hank Marlowe. The same man who had once fought Ikari on this island decades ago. Somehow impossibly, he was alive. Weaver lowered her camera, stunned. Conrad stared. Brooks whispered, "Jesus." Marlowe grinned, almost sheepish. "You're not gonna believe half of what I'm about to tell you." Life with the Iwi. Marlowe led them past a great wooden wall into the village of the island's natives, the Iwi people. Silent, solemn, they moved like ghosts, their faces serene yet unreadable. To the Iwi, words were unnecessary. They communicated in glances, gestures, and a spiritual stillness that unnerved and humbled the outsiders. Marlowe explained. He had crashed here in 44 with Ikari. The two enemies had fought, yes, but survival demanded something else. In time, they became brothers. Ikari had died years ago, but Marlowe honored him still. The sword at his side was Ikari's, carried as both weapon and memory. He pointed to carvings, murals, ancient totems that lined the village walls. They told a story older than memory. Kong, he explained, was not just an animal. He was protector, the last of his kind. Once, his family had kept the balance. But now he stood alone, guardian against horrors that lurked beneath the earth. Those horrors had a name. Skull crawlers. Marlowe's tone darkened as he spoke it. The Iwi feared them above all else. Serpentine, predatory, with skull-like faces and insatiable hunger. They had slaughtered Kong's family. They had killed countless Iwi. Only Kong's strength kept them in check. And the bombs, those cursed seismic charges, had woken the crawlers from their underground slumber. If Kong fell, the crawlers would rise unchecked. Conrad and Weaver exchanged a look. Everything shifted now. Kong was no longer the monster. He was the only thing standing between survival and extinction. Death from above. That night, as the group planned their next move, a scream pierced the darkness. Nevis, the nervous Landsat official, had wandered too close to the trees. Before anyone could reach him, the sky erupted with wings. A flock of razor-beaked birds, predatory and savage, descended in a storm of feathers and talons. Nevis was plucked from the ground, his screams echoing as the creatures tore him apart mid-air. Blood rained onto the village stones. The group fired wildly, but the birds vanished into the night, their hunger sated. Silence returned, but now it was heavier. The island demanded sacrifices, and Neves was only the latest. A glimpse of compassion. The next morning, the survivors set out again, Marlowe guiding them through routes he had memorized over decades. As they pushed through thick brush, Weaver slowed, her gaze caught by movement. A massive water buffalo, as large as a truck, lay pinned beneath the wreckage of a crashed helicopter. Its chest heaved weakly, eyes wide with pain. Weaver approached cautiously, pressing her hands against the twisted metal, trying to push it free. The beast stared at her, not with fear, but with quiet dignity. Then the ground shook. Shadows fell. Kong emerged. The survivors froze, certain this was the end. But Kong did not strike. He crouched beside the buffalo, his massive hand curling around the wreckage. With a gentle strength, he lifted it away. The buffalo rose free and lumbered into the jungle. Weaver stood inches from Kong's face. The great ape's eyes met hers. And in that gaze, she saw no monster, only weary nobility. For the first time, she lowered her camera. Some truths could not be captured on film. They had to be felt. Part 5, The Forbidden Zone, Vengeance and Awakening. The march through Skull Island was no longer about survival alone. Each step forward carried a heavier weight, secrets, losses, revelation. Shouts. For Packard, it was about one thing, finishing the fight. For Conrad and Weaver, it was becoming something else entirely, understanding the truth of the island. Chapman's last steed. Chapman waited by the riverbank where Kong had fought the octopus. His body tensed with every distant roar. He polished his rifle, checked the ammo box, glanced again at his watch. Hours passed. He began to hope, if not believe, that Packard's team would find him. The jungle shifted, the silence before a storm. From the undergrowth slithered something monstrous, pale, elongated, its movements wrong, neither reptilian nor mammalian, but something in between. A head lifted from the shadows, skull-like, jaws lined with jagged fangs. The skull crawler. Chapman raised his rifle, firing in short bursts. Bullets tore into its hide, drawing screeches but not slowing it. The creature darted forward with horrifying speed, tail whipping, knocking Chapman flat. His weapon spun from his grasp. He scrambled to his feet, pulled his pistol, and emptied it into the beast's gaping maw. Smoke, gunfire, defiance. For a moment it seemed he might stand his ground. But the skull crawler was relentless. It lunged, jaws wide. The jungle swallowed Chapman's screams. Blood spattered across the rocks. Silence followed. The river carried away what remained. When Kong arrived later, Chapman was gone. Only his ammo box remained, half buried in the dirt. Packard's obsession. Packard's unit pushed deeper into the jungle, exhaustion gnawing at them. Mills muttered about heading back. Cole cracked a joke that died quickly in the silence, but Packard's eyes burned hotter with each mile. When they stumbled upon Chapman's gear, Packard fell to one knee. His hand brushed over the ammo box, his jaw clenched. In his mind, Chapman wasn't dead, not truly. He lived through vengeance. He rose, voice firm, commanding, "We have the tools now, the firepower. Kong's bleeding. We finish this." The men hesitated. Some exchanged nervous glances. They'd seen Kong spare Weaver, spare others. But Packard's authority weighed heavy, forged in war. He would not return home defeated. Vengeance to him was duty. Conrad's discovery, the graveyard of kings. Elsewhere, Conrad, Weaver, Brooks, Lynn, Slivko, and Marlowe pressed onward with wary steps. Marlowe warned them of a place he called the Valley of Bones. Few had entered. None returned whole. They came upon it suddenly, a barren stretch of land where the jungle thinned, replaced by fields of white, but not rock, not sand. Bones. The remains of titans, giant rib cages, cracked skulls, shattered spines. Here lay the bones of Kong's kin, slaughtered by skull crawlers long ago. The group tread carefully among the graves, all mingled with dread. Weaver's camera clicked, but her eyes trembled. Conrad ran his hand across a femur the size of a tree trunk, understanding the weight of what had been lost. It was here that the crawlers ruled. The ground shifted beneath them. A tail slashed from the earth, knocking Lynn aside. From the hollow of a rib cage, another beast slithered forth, larger than the one that killed Chapman. Its skull face gleamed in the harsh sun. A second followed, hunger in its every movement. Gunfire erupted. The survivors scattered, darting between bones as cover. Slivko screamed, firing his rifle wildly. Brooks hurled explosives that barely slowed the creatures. One crawler lunged for Conrad. He rolled beneath its snapping jaws, slashing with Ikari's sword, Marlowe's gift. Steel met flesh, drawing a screech of fury, but not death. Randa's end. Randa, the monarch man, tried to flee. He stumbled among the bones, clutching his satchel of data like it might protect him. His glasses fogged with sweat. He turned, and the skull-crawler's shadow fell over him. His scream cut short as its jaws closed around him. In one savage snap, Randa was gone. His documents scattered across the bones, fluttering like broken wings. Monarch's secrets died with him. "Escape by fire," Marlowe shouted. To the river, they hate the water. The group sprinted, Crawler slithering after them, jaws snapping inches from their heels. Brooks hurled another charge, igniting Bones in a blast of fire. Smoke filled the air, masking their retreat. They reached the river's edge, gasping, bloody, shaken. Weaver clutched Conrad's arm, eyes wide. These things, they're the real monsters. Marlowe nodded grimly. And Kong's the only one who keeps them in check. Weaver's conviction. That night, around a small fire, Weaver's hands shook as she loaded a fresh roll of film. But her camera felt heavier now, less a tool of observation, more a burden of truth. She turned to Conrad. If Packard kills Kong, the crawlers will run free. They'll wipe this island clean. Maybe more. Conrad studied her face, saw the fear in the fire beneath it. For years he had been a mercenary, a tracker without purpose. But here now, he found us something worth fighting for. Not just survival, balance. He nodded. Then we stop him. Part 6, Fire and Fury. The final battle. The jungle felt heavier as the survivors pressed on. The air grew thicker, charged with the static of something inevitable. All paths, Packard's vengeance, Conrad's conscience, Weaver's compassion, Marlowe's wisdom converged here. Packard's trap. By the river, Packard's unit worked with grim precision. Crates of explosives were stacked, lines of detonator wire stretched like veins across the earth. The colonel stood tall, eyes fixed on the dark canopy above. His men were weary, hesitant. Cole muttered under his breath. Mills dragged his feet. Yet Packard's voice cut through doubt like steel. Kong bleeds, he can die. Tonight we finish it. When Conrad's group stumbled into the clearing, they froze. The sight was unmistakable. An execution ground prepared for a god. Weaver stepped forward, fury in her voice. You're insane. He's the only thing holding the real monsters back. Packard's jaw clenched. His eyes burned with years of war, of watching men die without reason. No, he's the monster. He killed my boys, and I won't leave this rock until he pays. Conrad raised Ikari's sword, tension thick in the air. For a heartbeat it seemed man might turn against man, but the jungle decided otherwise. Kong on fire. The ground trembled, leaves shivered, birds exploded from the canopy. Kong was near. He emerged from the shadows, massive, wounded but unbroken. His fur was matted with dried blood, his chest heaving. Yet even hurt, he towered with primal majesty. Packard raised his flare. Lighted, the fuel lines ignited in a river of fire. Flames roared along the water's edge, encircling Kong. He staggered, his fur catching flame. The beast roared in pain, swatting at the inferno. Soldiers fired rockets, tracer rounds, everything they had. Explosions lit the night. Kong reeled, knees buckling, smoke rising from his body. Weaver screamed, "Stop! You'll kill us all!" Packard advanced, detonator in hand. This is war, and war never ends. Conrad and Weaver defy him. Conrad lunged, knocking Packard's arm aside. The two men clashed, soldier and tracker, will against will. Around them, Kong groaned, collapsing under the fire. Weaver dashed forward, planting herself between Packard and the beast. "Look at him," she cried. "He's not our enemy." For the first time, doubt flickered in the soldier's eyes. Mills lowered his rifle. Slivko shook his head. One by one, they stepped back, siding not with their commander, but with the truth. Packard stood alone, his face twisted in rage. His men had abandoned him, his mission crumbled. But vengeance remained. "Stand down, never." He turned, ready to trigger the final charge when the jungle split apart. The devil emerges. From the earth erupted the largest skull crawler yet. The skull devil, a nightmare made flesh. Its body dwarfed the others, serpentine yet muscular, scales gleaming under firelight. Its head was skeletal, eye sockets hollow pits of hunger. It screeched, a sound like death itself, and charged. Soldiers scattered in terror. Cole, defiant to the last, pulled 2 grenades from his vest and ran forward. "Come on, you ugly bastard." He dove, ready to sacrifice himself, but the devil's tail lashed, slamming him into a cliff. The grenades exploded uselessly in the distance. Cole was gone. The Skull Devil lunged for the group. Conrad and Weaver ran, dragging Marlowe and Slivko. Brooks and Lynn fired wildly, desperate to distract it. Packard, however, didn't move. He stood rooted, staring at the oncoming monster. Perhaps in that final instant he saw the truth. Kong was never the enemy. Perhaps not. But Kong made the choice for him. The ape surged back to his feet, one massive hand smashing down on Packard with bone-crushing force. The colonel vanished in a spray of dirt and blood, his vengeance silenced. The battle for the island. Now it was God versus Devil. Kong versus Skullcrawler. Protector versus Destroyer. The jungle shook as they collided. Kong swung a tree like a club, smashing it across the Devil's skull. The beast reeled, then countered with a whip of its tail, sending Kong crashing into the ruins of a cliffside. Weaver and Conrad watched from below, the earth trembling with every impact. Around them, fire spread, illuminating the titanic clash in hellish light. The Skull Devil lunged, jaws snapping at Kong's throat. Kong grunted, straining, forcing its maw back with sheer strength. Teeth tore into his arm, blood spraying. With a roar, he ripped free and slammed his fist into the creature's skull. Again and again, bones cracking under his fury. But the devil did not fall. It wrapped its coils around him, dragging him down, suffocating. Kong's roars grew weaker. Weaver's gamble. From below, Weaver saw the tide turning. She grabbed a flare gun, aimed high, and fired. The red streak arced through the air and struck the Skull Devil's face. The beast screeched, blinded, thrashing wildly. But the ground beneath Weaver crumbled. With a cry, she tumbled into the river below. Conrad's heart stopped. He sprinted after her, diving toward the edge, screaming her name. Kong saw her fall. His eyes widened. A surge of rage ignited within him. With renewed fury, he tore free of the devil's coils, smashing its jaw aside. He plunged his hand deep into its throat, forcing it down, down, until his fist tore through flesh and bone. With one final roar, he ripped the Skull Devil's insides free in a cascade of gore. The monster twitched, collapsed, and lay still. Kong the Savior. Exhausted, battered, Kong staggered to the riverbank. His gaze found Weaver, unconscious but alive, floating in the current. Carefully, with surprising tenderness, he lifted her in his massive palm and placed her gently on the shore beside Conrad. Conrad knelt, clutching her hand. She coughed, sputtered water, and her eyes fluttered open. Relief washed over him. Above them, Kong loomed, chest heaving, eyes filled not with fury, but with something deeper recognition. Protector, guardian. For a long moment, man and Titan regarded one another. Then Kong turned, limped back toward the mountains, and vanished into the jungle's embrace. The island was safe. For now. Part 7. Survivors, Homecoming, and Monarch's Revelation. The jungle burned behind them. Smoke curled into the dawn sky, black against orange. The cries of the fallen had faded, leaving only silence. For the survivors, every step away from the battlefield felt like stolen time. The survivors. Conrad guided Weaver, her arms slung over his shoulder. Her steps were weak but steady, each breath a victory. Marlowe hobbled beside them, worn but alive, his eyes alight with something he had not felt in decades' hope. Brooks and Lynn trudged with Slivko and Mills, their bodies bruised, their faces hollow. Reyes limped in silence. They were soldiers, scientists, wanderers, now bound together as witnesses to a truth the world could scarcely imagine. They reached the northern shore where Marlowe had promised rescue might come, and against all odds, it did. 3 helicopters appeared through the haze, blades chopping the morning air. The survivors waved flares and the choppers descended. Relief swept over them like a tide. As they boarded, Conrad turned one last time toward the jungle. And there he was, Kong. The Titan stood on a distant ridge, dark against the rising sun. His chest bore scars, his fur still singed, but he stood tall, guardian, ruler, god of the island. Kong beat his chest once, a sound that echoed across the waters. A roar followed, not of rage, but of dominion. A warning to any who would threaten his home again. The survivors said nothing. Words were too small. They simply watched as the jungle swallowed him whole once more. Hank Marlowe's homecoming. For Hank Marlowe, the journey did not end on Skull Island. The years weighed on him as the helicopter carried them to safety, but his heart raced, decades lost, a family he had only seen in fading photographs. Weeks later, in a quiet Chicago suburb, a car pulled up to a modest home. Marlowe stepped out dressed in borrowed clothes, his hair wild, his beard trimmed but stubborn. His hands shook as he gripped the gate. The door opened. A woman stood there, older now, her hair silvered, but her eyes the same as the day he had left. Anne. His voice cracked. She froze, then dropped the dish towel in her hands. Tears blurred her vision. Hank. They ran to each other, embraced. A moment 3 decades in the making. Inside, a young man sat at the table, stunned. Marlowe stared at him, heart pounding. His son. Grown, a stranger, yet blood of his blood. The 3 sat together that night, watching a Cubs game on the television. Marlowe smiled through tears, the roar of the crowd blending with the roar of memory. For the first time in years, he was home. Monarch's interrogation. But for Conrad and Weaver, peace did not last. Weeks after their return, they found themselves in a windowless room, steel walls, a single table. Their cameras, notebooks, and possessions had been taken. The door opened. Entered Houston Brooks and San Lin, flanked by Monarch operatives. Their expressions were grave. Brooks spoke first. Kong isn't the only king out there. He set down a stack of files. Photographs, cave paintings, maps marked with red circles. Conrad and Weaver leaned forward. The images stole their breath. A mural of a massive winged creature fire streaming from its body. Rodan. Another of a multi-headed dragon, wings spread wide across the stars. King Ghidorah. A gentle yet powerful insect, wings like stained glass. Mothra. And finally, carved deeper than the rest, the unmistakable silhouette of a reptilian titan rising from the sea. Godzilla. Weaver's voice was a whisper. They're real. Brooks nodded. They've always been here. This world doesn't belong to us. It never did. The lights dimmed. A projector hummed. Audio filled the room, the echo of titanic roars, layered and overlapping. The cry of Godzilla, the shriek of Ghidorah, the bellow of Kong. It was a chorus of gods, a warning. The future was coming. Closing image. Far from human eyes, Skull Island rested again in uneasy silence. The jungle regrew, rivers cleared, skies opened. And upon a cliffside, Kong stood watch. His gaze swept across the horizon, his chest rising with each deep breath. He was alone, but not broken. The last of his kind, yet the first line of defense. A storm brewed in the distance, not of weather, but of titans. And Kong, king of Skull Island, would be ready. Epilogue. The survivors returned to their lives changed forever. Weaver's photographs, though hidden by Monarch, burned in her mind. Conrad, once a mercenary without a cause, carried a new purpose, truth. Marlowe found his family, bridging the years stolen by fate. Monarch continued its work in shadows, preparing for storms humanity could not comprehend. And beneath it all, the earth stirred. Monsters slept. Titans dreamed. But they would wake. And when they did, the world would tremble. Part 1. Prologue, 1944. War and Kong's first appearance. The skies above the South Pacific in 1944 burned with smoke and fire. Two planes dueled viciously, spiraling downward until both burst apart in flames. From the chaos fell two men, one American, one Japanese. Lieutenant Hank Marlowe drifted earthward by parachute, lungs heaving, hands still trembling from the crash. Below him, another parachute bloom. Gunpei Yukari, his enemy, descended into the same dense jungle canopy. They landed hard, tearing through leaves, rolling onto the dirt. The moment their eyes met, instinct took over. Marlowe drew his sidearm and fired. The shot went wide. Ikari charged, katana gleaming, and the chase began. Through tangled brush, across roots, their battle carried them toward a jagged cliff's edge. Marlowe's pistol clicked empty. Ikari lunged, blade slicing the air, nearly impaling him. They tumbled together, fists flying, grappling for survival. Marlowe barely wrested the katana aside before Ikari pressed him into the dirt, steel poised to end him. Then the ground shook. A shadow blotted out the sun. A massive hand slammed down, shaking earth and men alike. Both soldiers froze, eyes widening. Rising above them was not a man, not a machine, but something beyond imagination, a colossal ape, its gaze piercing, its roar shaking the heavens. His name was Kong. Part 2, 1973. Mission assembled. Nearly 30 years later, Washington, D.C. buzzed with post-Vietnam unease. Within its halls, secrets stirred. Bill Randa, an aging government official, carried with him truths no one wanted to hear. Monsters were real, and he meant to prove it. Alongside geologist Houston Brooks, Randa stood before Senator Willis, pleading. Marlowe drew his sidearm and fired. The shot went wide. Ikari charged, katana gleaming, and the chase began. Through tangled brush, across roots, their battle carried them toward a jagged cliff's edge. Marlowe's pistol clicked empty. Ikari lunged, blade slicing the air, nearly impaling him. They tumbled together, fists flying, grappling for survival. Marlowe barely wrested the katana aside before Ikari pressed him into the dirt, steel poised to end him. Then the ground shook. A shadow blotted out the sun. A massive hand slammed down, shaking earth and men alike. Both soldiers froze, eyes widening. Rising above them was not a man, not a machine, but something beyond imagination, a colossal ape, its gaze piercing, its roar shaking the heavens. His name was Kong. Part 2, 1973. Mission assembled. Nearly 30 years later, Washington, D.C. buzzed with post-Vietnam unease. Within its halls, secrets stirred. Bill Randa, an aging government official, carried with him truths no one wanted to hear. Monsters were real, and he meant to prove it. Alongside geologist Houston Brooks, Randa stood before Senator Willis, pleading for funds to explore a newly discovered location, Skull Island. Willis scoffed at the idea until Randa pressed, suggesting that if America did not explore it first, another power would. Reluctantly, Willis signed off, but Randa requested something more, a military escort. At the same time, the Sky Devils, an airborne cavalry squadron, prepared to leave Vietnam behind. Their commander, Colonel Preston Packard, brooded in silence, unwilling to accept the war's end. His men, Captain Earl Cole, Slivko, Relace, Glenn Mills, and Jack Chapman, looked forward to going home. But when Packard received Randa's request, he saw not distraction, but purpose. A chance to finish something. Elsewhere, Randa and Brooks sought out a tracker, James Conrad, a former SAS operative. They found him in a dingy Saigon bar, where he swiftly dispatched a pair of drunken brawlers without breaking a sweat. Conrad listened to their offer with skepticism, demanding more money, warning them that Skull Island's storms and... Meanwhile, anti-war photographer Mason Weaver developed pictures in a dark room. Her skepticism of military motives ran deep, yet curiosity drove her to accept Randa's invitation. Together with scientists Sam Lean, Victor Nieves, and Steve, the team prepared to journey into the unknown. Part 3. Arrival on Skull Island. The expedition sailed into the Pacific aboard a ship, then took helicopters through a wall of storm clouds that ringed the island like nature's fortress. Lightning flashed, rain battered, but they broke through into a pristine wilderness untouched by man. Soldiers dropped seismic charges, explosions rattling the earth. Weaver raised her camera, capturing beauty marred by violence. The ground split, trees shook, and then a tree hurtled through the air, impaling a helicopter mid-flight. From the jungle rose Kong, towering, enraged by the invasion. He swatted helicopters from the sky, crushed them in his fists, hurled wreckage into flames. Soldiers screamed as fire consumed the sky. Choppers exploded, raining debris across the jungle. On the ground, survivors scattered. Smoke and fire painted the sky red. Packard stared upward at the beast, hatred igniting in his eyes. Kong stared back, unflinching. The war was not over. Part 4. Survival and Secrets. In the chaos, groups split apart. Conrad, Weaver, Brooks, Lynn, Slivko, and Nieves banded together. Packard, with Randa, Chapman, Cole, and others, moved separately, searching for survivors and for vengeance. In the jungle, horrors lurked. One soldier, separated, felt something brush his leg. A massive spider leg skewered him, lifting him into the air. Above, a spider the size of a house descended, legs stabbing downward. The squad hacked at its limbs until Packard put it down with gunfire. Elsewhere, Chapman found himself by a river, watching Kong tend his wounds. The ape stooped to drink, then grappled with a monstrous octopus, tearing its limbs, devouring its flesh. Chapman watched in awe. Kong was predator and protector both. Conrad's group stumbled into a confrontation with native islanders. Spears poised, tension high until an older man emerged. Hank Marlowe, aged, weathered, yet not alive. He calmed the tribe, welcomed the strangers, and led them past a great wall into safety. Marlowe explained the truth. Kong was no monster to the islanders. He was their god, their protector. Long ago, his kind battled creatures that lurked beneath the earth, the skull crawlers. They had slain Kong's family, leaving him the last of his kind. The seismic charges awoke them once more. If Kong fell, the crawlers would inherit the island. That night, fear lingered. In the dark, they heard screeches, distant yet drawing nearer. The crawlers were awake. Part 5. The Forbidden Zone. Vengeance and Awakening. Chapman's Fate. Chapman waited near the river, clutching his rifle, guarding the precious ammunition Packard needed. From the shadows, the skull crawler came. White-skinned, skeletal, jaws unhinging. Chapman fired until his rifle clicked dry, then his pistol. It was not enough. The beast struck, jaws snapping. Chapman vanished in its maw, his screams silenced. Only his dog tags remained. Packard's obsession. Packard found Chapman's ammo box. His men faltered, fearful, but Packard's voice steeled them. We have what we need. Kong bleeds. We finish it. The soldiers followed, though unease gnawed at them. The jungle seemed darker now, shaped by vengeance. The Valley of Bones. Conrad's group pressed into a wasteland of bleached remains. Kong's ancestors, slaughtered long ago. Bones stretched across the horizon, a graveyard of kings. Weaver's camera clicked, but her hands shook. Then the ground shifted. Crawlers emerged, larger, hungrier. The survivors scattered, firing, fleeing. Marlowe swung Ikari's sword. Conrad seized it, steel flashing in defiance. Slivko screamed as jaws snapped inches from him. Randa fled, clutching Monarch files. A skullcrawler lunged. He vanished in its jaws, secrets dying with him. Explosions lit the bones, fire driving the survivors to the river's edge. Weaver gasped. Kong's not our enemy. He's the only thing holding them back. Conrad met her gaze. Purpose burned in him now. Then we stop Packard. Part 6, Fire and Fury, the final battle. Packard's trap. By the river, Packard laid his trap with explosives and fire. Conrad and Weaver arrived, horrified. Weaver shouted, "He's not our enemy." Packard sneered, "He killed my men. This war doesn't end until he does." Kong emerged, wounded yet towering. Packard ignited the fuel. Flames engulfed the riverbank, fire crawling up Kong's fur. He roared, staggering, battered by rockets and gunfire. Soldiers faltered, doubting, but Packard pressed on, detonator in hand. Conrad and Weaver defied him. Soldiers sided with truth over vengeance. Packard stood alone. The Skull Devil. The earth split. From the depths rose the largest crawler yet, the Skull Devil, towering serpentine, jaws like death itself. It shrieked, charging. Cole made a last stand, grenades in hand, but its tail slammed him into rock. He exploded in vain. The devil surged toward the group. Packard stood frozen. Kong rose, fist crashing down, crushing Packard into the dirt. Vengeance ended in silence. Then came the battle. Kong swung trees like clubs, smashed fists into bone. The devil struck back, coils wrapping, teeth sinking deep. Kong faltered, gasping. Weaver fired a flare into its eye. The devil thrashed, the ground crumbled. Weaver fell into the river. Kong saw. Rage consumed him. With a roar he tore free, grasped the devil's jaws, and thrust his fist deep into its throat. With a final heave, he ripped its innards out in a spray of gore. The devil collapsed, lifeless. Kong staggered, exhausted. He reached into the river, lifting Weaver with gentle care, setting her down beside Conrad. For a moment they stared at each other, man and god, before Kong turned away, limping back into his jungle. Part 7. Survivors, Homecoming, and Monarch's Revelation. At dawn, the survivors reached the shore. Helicopters descended, blades thundering. Relief washed over them as they boarded. Conrad looked back one final time. Kong stood on a ridge silhouetted by sunrise. He beat his chest, a roar echoing across the island, not of rage, but of rule. Marlowe's return. Weeks later, Hank Marlowe returned to Chicago. His wife, older but unchanged in spirit, froze at the sight of him. Tears, embraces, decades collapsing in an instant. His son, grown, stared in shock. That night they sat together watching a Cubs game, the weight of lost years softened by reunion. Monarch's secret. But Conrad and Weaver were not free. Monarch detained them in a windowless room. Brooks and Lynn entered with files. Kong isn't the only king, Brooks said. Photographs spilled across the table murals of titans, Rodan, Wings of Fire, Mothra, luminous and divine, Ghidorah, three-headed, apocalyptic, and finally, Godzilla, rising from the depths. The world never belonged to us, Brooks warned. It belongs to them. A projector flickered. Roars filled the room. Kong's, Godzilla's, others. A symphony of gods. A warning of storms to come. Kong's watch. On Skull Island, peace returned. Rivers cleared, trees grew, silence fell. Upon a cliff, Kong stood watch, the last of his kind, guardian of his realm. A storm brewed on the horizon, not of weather, but of titans. Kong roared into the wind. The island trembled. The world would follow. Epilogue. The survivors lived on with scars and truths. Weaver carried memories Monarch tried to bury. Conrad found purpose beyond coin. Marlowe reclaimed family and time. Monarch plotted in shadows. And beneath the earth monsters stirred. The age of man waned. The age of titans began. Weaver carried memories Monarch tried to bury. Conrad found purpose beyond coin. Marlowe reclaimed family and time. Monarch plotted in shadows. And beneath the earth monsters stirred. The age of man waned. The age of titans began.